I served aboard the HMS Vanguard for 6 months during the darkest stretch of the Atlantic campaign. 6 months of cold spray, gray skies, and a kind of silence you can only find hundreds of miles from land. But there's something most people don't know about those waters. Something the admiralty never put in the official logs. Every evening, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, Captain Aldrich would walk the length of the deck, his boots echoing like clockwork. He carried a small leather notebook, dark, worn, and always kept shut. From that notebook came 6 standing orders that no one questioned. At least, no one who wanted to sleep well. I memorized those orders within my first week. Rule 1. At dusk, no one was to stand alone on the forward deck. Rule 2. All exterior lights were to be dimmed, even in calm seas. Rule 3. No one was to acknowledge voices calling from the water. Rule 4. If someone spotted a silhouette on the waves, they were to report it immediately, but never approach. Rule 5. At night, lookouts must rotate every 7 minutes, no longer. Rule 6. If the captain rang the bell twice after midnight, every man was to stay exactly where he was. On paper, the rules sounded like old sailor superstitions, but the captain wasn't the superstitious type. He was rigid, calculated, and, for reasons none of us understood back then, he was terrified of the dark. It happened during my 3rd week aboard. We were cutting through calm waters, the kind sailors pray for. The sky was clear, the air motionless. It should have been an easy night. I was rotating with Private Halden on lookout duty, a jittery kid from Portsmouth with a habit of tapping his foot. Our shift had just begun when Halden stiffened beside me. Do you hear that?" I held my breath. At first, I thought it was the ocean's normal rhythm, the endless rise and fall against steel. But then I heard it. A woman's voice, soft, calling a name I didn't recognize. "Elias, Elias, please." Halden stepped forward instinctively, leaning over the rail. I grabbed his jacket. Rule 3, don't answer. "But she's out there. Someone's drowning." He tried to pull free, but before he could get another word out, the captain's voice cut through the darkness. "Step back from that rail, Private!" Aldrich appeared so quietly I didn't even hear him approach. He wasn't angry. He was pale. "Is the voice familiar?" he asked Halden. The private swallowed. "No, sir. Just sounded close." The captain nodded once. Then it wasn't human. He escorted Halden below deck personally. When the captain came back topside, he stood beside me for a long time, listening to the ocean. "Sir, what are those voices?" He didn't look at me when he answered. "Something that doesn't belong on the surface." 2 nights later, I was awakened by the bell. 2 strikes, sharp. precise. Rule 6 meant one thing: do not move. I sat up in my bunk, heart pounding. Around me, the other men froze mid-motion, some halfway through taking off boots, one man still holding a mug halfway to his lips. No one breathed. Then we heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate. They moved down the passage outside the sleeping quarters, scraping occasionally, like something heavy brushed along the metal bulkhead. The steps stopped outside our compartment. Not a single man dared turn toward the door. A soft tapping started. 3 taps, then silence. 3 taps, then silence. It went on for at least a minute before the sound faded, then stopped entirely. No orders followed, no explanation. At dawn, Captain Aldrich dismissed the night as routine inspection, but the men who had heard those footsteps knew better. Those were not the footsteps of any man. The third incident was the one that broke the doubt of even the hardiest skeptics. Near midnight, the ocean was calm enough to reflect the moon like glass. Private Kern, stationed starboard lookout, muttered a confused "what the?" and called the captain to the bridge. Aldrich arrived instantly, like he'd been awake the whole time. "There," Kern whispered, pointing. A silhouette stood on the water. Not a boat, not debris, a figure, motionless, upright, as though standing on solid ground. The ocean didn't disturb it. Waves passed under its feet without affecting its shape. It was watching us. The captain locked his jaw, then said, "Rule 4, no one approaches, no one signals." "This is a survivor?" Kern asked. "If it were, it would not be standing," the captain said. The silhouette didn't move, didn't sway, didn't breathe. And then, as if reacting to our attention, it tilted its head. Just slightly, just enough to acknowledge us. Every man on the bridge backed away. The captain ordered lights to minimum. No one looked directly at it. The figure lingered another 20 seconds before it slowly sank straight down, disappearing beneath the surface without disturbing a droplet. Not a splash, not a ripple. Just gone. It was my 5th month aboard when everything went wrong. A storm rolled in at dusk, black and unnatural, with winds that seemed to come from all directions at once. Lightning forked across the sky, but there was no thunder, only a vibrating hum that rattled the rails beneath my hands. That alone would have been bad enough, but then the bell rang. Twice. The men froze. "Everyone stay exactly where you are," a petty officer shouted. But the storm was worsening by the second, water pouring through every open hatch. A crewman named Dalton, panicked by the rising flood, stepped toward the hatchway. "Dalton, stop!" I yelled, but the storm drowned out my voice. He took one step into the corridor. Just one. And from the darkness, something reached for him. A shape, thin, elongated, barely human, uncoiled from the shadows like smoke and pulled him out of sight. He didn't even scream. It happened so fast that the lantern beside me flickered out from the force of the wind, and everything went black. Men shouted, metal groaned, something moved along the hull, scraping, dragging. Then, bang! The door to the captain's quarters slammed open. "Everyone, hold your positions!" he roared above the storm. He carried the leather notebook in one hand and the flare pistol in the other. "They're using the dark! We hold until dawn!" "How long until sunrise?" someone yelled. 2 hours! We keep to the rules! They can't take what doesn't move!" So we stayed frozen, soaked, terrified, ready to bolt, while shapes flickered in the corners of our vision. Sometimes they looked human, other times they didn't. The storm didn't let up until the first hints of pink touched the sky. When the light came, everything stopped. The scraping, the whispers, the footsteps. Just gone. Dalton was never found. When we finally limped into port 3 days later, the captain handed me his leather notebook. "You've lasted longer than the last 4, he said quietly. I opened it, but every page was blank. "You wrote these rules," I said. "No," he replied. "I recorded them. They were here long before I was." I flipped through the empty pages again. "Why give this to me?" "Because you're transferring tomorrow," he said. "And wherever you go, the rules go too." I looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" Captain Aldrich buttoned his coat and stared out over the harbor. "They're not tied to the ship," he said. "They're tied to the night." That was 80 years ago. People ask me why I still avoid beaches at night, why I don't open doors after midnight, why I refuse to stare directly at open water after dusk. The truth is simple, because the rules still apply, even on land, even now, even far from the Atlantic. And I've learned one thing above all. You don't survive the night by fighting what's out there. You survive by obeying the rules, because the rules are the only thing that obeys back.